All right, guys, well, it is the top of the hour, so we are going to go ahead and get started. First of all, thank you so much for being here today at our MSU Basics webinar. The idea of this is to give you guys as broad of an overview of as many things MSU related as possible. Before we get started today, a couple of housekeeping things. If anyone is having trouble logging in, you can always join us from our phone. From your phone. This is the instructions here, of course, the password. And then one little footnote for you guys, we will be utilizing something called the Q&A feature a lot today. So if you look at the bottom, I think right-hand side of your screen, you will see 3 dots. If you click on those, it will say Q&A and a Q&A chat box will pop up. So if you have any questions that arise throughout this presentation, feel free to pop them in there. We have our full team of admissions counselors on staff here waiting to help you out with your questions. So before we get started, we would love to do a couple introductions. My name is Anna Herbert. I am one of the admissions counselors here at Montana State. I am a proud MSU alumni as well. I studied human development and family science and graduated back in December of 2019 with my bachelor's. While I was involved here at MSU, I was on the Spirit Squad. I was in a bunch of clubs, part of the Honors College, and I love my experience here so much that I've been back with admissions for a little over a year and a half now. Before we get into this service here, I would love to introduce you to a couple of our other team members that will be joining us today as well. Unfortunately, our Associate Director of Recruitment, Anders Groseth, is unable to join us today, so you get to see his beautiful picture instead, but I'd love to introduce you to a couple of our other team members here.
Hi everyone, my name is Anna Dennis. I am originally from Waverly, Iowa. I graduated from the University of Iowa 2 years ago with my degrees in film and creative writing. Hi everybody, my name is Emily Kappas. I'm one of the other admissions counselors. I'm originally from Great Falls, Montana, and I graduated from MSU a year ago with degrees in marketing and management from our School of Business.
Hi everyone, I'm Andromeda, another admissions counselor here at MSU. I also graduated from MSU 2 years ago with an English teaching degree, and I'm also from Great Falls like Emily.
Great, thank you so much, guys. So for any of the family members or students that are watching, the team of admissions counselors, we are the ones that do all of the counseling and recruiting for prospective students. So you may have seen some of our faces before. We are the ones that you meet at college fairs. We may have even shown up at your high school, and we're usually the one that's answering all your emails or sending you guys lots of texts throughout the entire admissions process. So diving right into it, before we get into MSU, I wanted to share a little bit with you guys about this beautiful place that we call home, and that is the beautiful city of Bozeman. If you have never experienced our hometown here before, a little bit of background on us is that, first off, we were named one of the greatest places in the world by Time magazine, so not a bad choice to pick for college, if I do say so myself. We are actually the 4th largest city in the state of Montana. If you're from a very large metropolitan area, I will say I use the term city a little loosely. We have roughly 60,000 people here in Bozeman. Of course, that number fluctuates a little bit depending on our student population coming and going. If you consider the entire Gallatin Valley, which is, if you're familiar with our area, or if you're not, the flat area that sits in this beautiful bowl surrounded by those 5 different mountain ranges, it's about 120,000 all within there. Personally, as someone that is an alumni as well as a staff member now who's been here for 8 years, I love this size. I think it's that kind of sweet spot right in the middle. It's big enough, there's a lot of things going on, there's a lot of great opportunities. You're surrounded by beautiful wilderness, but you are by no means moving to the middle of nowhere. But it's still small enough, there really is that beautiful small town charm, that really tight-knit sense of community. And lastly, Bozeman is just such a true college town. We are not just a town that happens to have a college tucked away in the corner of it. By that I mean MSU thrives on Bozeman, and Bozeman thrives on MSU at the same time. And you will see so much of that reciprocal support going both ways. It's such a nice place. For my out-of-state friends, especially those from maybe a little warmer climates than here, I think one of the most common questions I get asked is, what's the weather really like? Since I think what people that have not visited before may understand about Montana weather, maybe things they saw go viral on TikTok or Instagram Reels. I grew up in Minnesota, so I am probably the worst person in the world to ask about cold weather, but I truly believe that it is not too bad out here. Our summer temperatures usually average around the mid-80s, whereas the winters are usually around the mid-30s. I'm not going to lie to you guys, it is Montana, so we do see some extremes, of course, on both ends of that spectrum. I've seen it be around 110 here, though that it's definitely a little more rare. And we had 2 days in January that were -40. If that sounds a little extreme to you, just remember that good old saying, there is no such thing as bad weather, only such thing as bad clothing. Nice thing about being here though is that though those winters might be a little longer than what some of you are familiar with, we do still have an average 300 days of sunshine. So that means you still have those clear blue skies. It's not just that gray doom and gloom for months on end. You can still get a little bit of a tan while you're out on the ski hill. So a little bit about Bozeman specifically. Like I said, I think we are really the best of both worlds, not to sound cheesy. Again, it's big enough. There are a lot of opportunities here. We still have all those big box office stores that you know and love if you're from a larger metropolitan area. We've got Costco and Target and Starbucks. You know, what are we going to do without it? We also, just about 15 minutes away from our campus, have Montana's largest airport with the highest number of direct flights coming in and out. So for our out-of-state friends, it's very accessible for you to get home for any of your breaks, or for our in-state friends that are just looking to travel, go somewhere a little tropical for spring break, that is an option for you as well. Our airport is a whole 12 gates now. It was about 6 when I moved here, so things are really blowing up for us. A nice perk for our students, though, is that we do actually, through our student government services, offer a free shuttle that runs our students back and forth from the airport during Thanksgiving break, during winter break, and during spring break. So if students do not have a car, or if you just don't feel like paying for airport parking for your whole break, which I would not blame you, that is always accessible. While we are on that note, I'm sure some of you are wondering, are freshmen allowed to have cars? The answer to that short answer is yes, but. So with that, freshmen are allowed to have cars. We personally kind of want to stay out of that decision. We think that is a family decision. But I will say that there are separate parking lots for our students that reside on campus versus those students that commute back and forth from campus every day. So with those students that live on, at least theoretically, they are all consistently on campus at the same time as one another. So theoretically, all those cars will be in the parking lot at the same time. Whereas those commuter students, everybody's on a different schedule. Everyone is always coming and going. So with those resident parking spots, they will not sell a single more pass than there are spots available. They are called Bison passes. Those go on sale August 1st prior to your freshman year starting. So those of you that are fall 2025 students, you still have about exactly a year to think about whether that is a decision you want to make. You don't necessarily need to log on at 12:01 to buy that pass, but you might want to look at it the first day or two because those absolutely do sell out. On that note, I will say having a car here your freshman year is by no means necessary. I personally did not have one until I was a little older and until I was living off campus. I had no problem whatsoever. Campus itself is super walkable. It's only about 15 minutes from one end to the other end. Our community itself is super bike friendly. And then lastly, we actually offer free public transportation that runs all throughout our community. That is called the Streamline Bus Service, and that again is free. It is constantly running laps around town to popular destinations. So if you need to get all the way out to Costco, if you want to go to the grocery store, maybe you want to catch a movie at the mall with your friends, or it's a little cold and you don't feel like doing the 10-minute walk to get down to historic Main Street Bozeman, that is always an option for you here. There's actually a bus stop right here on our campus. I am sitting in the sub right now, which is our Strand Union building. That is right at the heart of our campus, and there is a bus loop right out my window here, so it is nice and easily accessible for you. Speaking of downtown Bozeman, since I mentioned it, if you do plan to come and visit us, I highly recommend that you build that into your itinerary. It is absolutely charming. That is the heart of our community. Kind of feels like you're stepping into a Hallmark movie down there. If you're a foodie, you will not go wrong with a single restaurant you try. There's a bunch of fun little eclectic shops and boutiques to explore, and a lot of great coffee shops to get that college student caffeine fix, get a little work done at the same time. It is also really common when you go down to Main Street that you will find the entire thing completely shut down and like maybe half the community of Bozeman hanging out, because again, we are super involved here and we kind of love the excuse to celebrate just about anything. Summers are super fun in Bozeman. We are always doing different food, film, music festivals. Every Tuesday night, there's a huge farmers and arts market that takes place just about a block off of Main Street. Thursday nights are definitely a crowd favorite. That is when we do our Music on Main concert series, which I guess tomorrow night, if anyone's in town, pretty fun. It's a big street dance. They shut down Main Street. They have a band come out. There's dancing, food trucks. It's basically just a giant party for all of the local families as well as college students alike. Right now, we're sitting at a really fun time of the school year because we still have some of those fun summer activities going on, but we're also launching into all these exciting new start of the school year and football season events. Football season is a blast around here. We do a huge homecoming parade. We do pep rallies down on Main Street. This event in the slides I'm sharing right now, where you see this guy just shredding on that clarinet there in the front, it's called the Community Catwalk. And so that is a big involvement parade where all the student groups like the football team, the band, the cheer team, student government, our lovely local celebrity, President Waded Cruzado there doing the fist bump in the background. Everybody comes out, they take to Main Street, they parade down the sidewalks, go into every local business, they pass out swag. I will say it becomes a really confusing time for out-of-state tourists with no MSU affiliation, because someone will literally be like sitting at a table, having a steak, hanging out, and then this guy from the band playing saxophone will jump on their table and serenade them. It's great. Christmas time is really fun around here too. The Christmas stroll is a great event. It's basically the same thing as Music on Main, except you add Santa, add some hot air balloons overhead, and maybe a warmer jacket. I guess the easy way of saying what I'm trying to say to you guys right now is that if you were ever bored in Bozeman, there's a little bit of a chance that it is your own fault, because there is always something going on here in our community. If you ever do happen to get bored, we are surrounded by this incredible outdoor playground that comes with having those 5 beautiful mountain ranges. If you or your students are even remotely outdoors oriented, and regardless of what those interests are, chances are we've got something out here for you. We have access to world-class skiing, snowboarding, hunting, fishing, climbing, ice climbing. Pretty much you want it, we got it out here. We have over 60 trailheads within just an hour's drive from our campus, and over 100 miles of hiking and biking trails that are accessible from just, again, about 2 blocks from where I am standing right now. That is called the Main Street to the Mountains Trail System, very appropriately named because it will literally take you from Main Street, Bozeman, into the mountains pretty much any direction that you start walking. We are located only about 89 miles away from Yellowstone National Park, so one of our nicknames here is University of the Yellowstones. That is just right out your back door. It is a quick and easy day trip for our students, and a lot of our students choose to participate in classes or research that actually take them into what I personally believe is one of the coolest places on the planet. Our other big nickname around here, maybe a little less popular if you're not as familiar with Montana State, is Trout U. That is because we have 3 blue ribbon fly fishing rivers within just about a 45-minute to an hour drive from our campus. Being a Minnesotan, I grew up ice fishing. I tend to catch more trees than fish when I try to fly fish. Tremendously respect those who figured it out. I haven't been able to do it yet. But I really love the adrenaline sports that come on those rivers. If any of you are into whitewater rafting, whitewater kayaking, or you've ever thought that you might be, there are some really incredible opportunities out here on those rivers to hit the rapids. If you're a little bit more mellow, and that sounds a little intense, one of the favorite summer pastimes around here is just floating inner tubes down the Madison River, which has a really mellow section. It's only about like a foot or 2 deep, so it is college student proof. Skiing and snowboarding is definitely one of our most famous aspects of being out here. We have 2 amazing ski hills, all within about an hour's drive from our campus. So Bridger Bowl is our local ski hill. If you've seen any pictures of the mountains with the big white M on it that we love to put on all of our publications, just know that is the Bridger Mountain Range. Bridger Bowl can be found right on the backside of that. That is only about a 20 to 30-minute drive from our campus, weather dependent. It is co-op, community owned, it is on national forest land. It's where the locals hang out, and it is a great time. Even better for our students is that we offer a free shuttle for our students that will pick them up in front of, again, the Student Union building and bring them back and forth from Bridger Bowl every single hour on weekdays and every single half hour on weekends. I love Ski Bridger. I think it is an absolute blast. I am a Bridger girl. Only thing I don't like about it is if I choose to sleep in a little bit on the weekends and then I get up there maybe around noon because I want a half day, and then parking lot's a little full, so you have to park all the way back in Narnia. If you hop on that shuttle, they will drop you off right at the front. You are literally only 100 feet-ish away from that first chairlift. Big Sky Resort, not to sound redundant, is the big resort style skiing. It is actually the 2nd largest ski resort in America. Used to be number 1. Park City unfortunately beat us out, but hey, number 2 is not bad. It is absolutely wonderful up there. It definitely lives up to its reputation. It's about an hour to an hour and a half's drive to get up to Big Sky. I will say you have to drive through a rather windy, kind of precarious canyon that isn't the most fun when those roads are icy. So one way to counter that is to take the shuttle that our community here offers to Big Sky. It is called the Skyline, and that runs for $5 round trip. So super affordable. And in my mind, I would pay a whole lot more to get out of the white knuckle driving in that canyon after a day of being tired from skiing all day. My locals tip for you guys is if any of you are big skiing aficionados, you know that you want to get a pass, I would really recommend looking into a Bridger Bowl one. Nice little perk for them is that if you purchase a ski pass, so a season pass, while you are 18 and under, even if you are going to be 19 for the entire school year, so say your birthday is September 1st, a youth pass is still ages 18 and under, so you can save quite a bit of money that way. They also offer a great young adults pass for ages 19 through 24. So even if you're still in that college phase and on a little bit tighter of a budget, you can still have access to getting outside. And outdoor access is something that is super important to us here at Montana State. That's where our outdoor recreation program comes in, because that is our goal. Get our students outside, make sure you're doing it safely, make sure you're learning something. So through that outdoor rec program, we have an outdoor rec center on campus. They do affordable gear rentals. So for example, if you want to try skiing, but you haven't really gone before, maybe you want to see if you like it before you invest in all of that gear, you can get a full setup, skis, poles, boots, helmet, goggles, everything you would need. And you would pay for a week what you might pay for like a day, if even that, at one of the resorts around here. I got a pair of ice skates from there when I was in college. I think it was $3 for the whole weekend. Or maybe you want to try backpacking, but if you're not super into it, kind of a lot of equipment to keep in a smaller dorm room that you're sharing with somebody else, that is an option there. You can get everything at just a very tiny price. Moving on down that list, they also offer expeditions and excursions. So those are guided trips. They are field trips off of the MSU campus where you can try a new activity and have a professional guide going with you. But instead of going with a tourist company in town and being with a bunch of other families and maybe their younger screaming children, it's you, your classmates, you get to meet like-minded students, you get to do it safely. We also offer classes, and those are for actual college credit. There are whitewater classes, wilderness first aid classes, climbing classes. Skiing is definitely the most popular, and that is for all ability levels. So whether you are someone that has never seen a mountain before in real life, or whether you are someone that has been skiing since before you can walk, taking that class just guarantees you have 4 hours built into your schedule every week where you literally have to be on the mountain because that's your classroom and that is how you get your credit. Lastly, we do offer safety courses as well. Bear safety is a good one. Avalanche safety is our most popular. You learn about avalanche warning signs, safety techniques, survival techniques, and we actually have one of only 2 avalanche beacon parks in the entire country here located on our MSU campus. So you can train on using an avalanche beacon. Completion of that course comes with discounted rental of an avalanche beacon for the entire ski or snowboard season as well. Which I will say, another locals tip, if you are a more avid skier or snowboarder and plan to hit any of those higher elevation runs, they will not even let you on the chairlift unless you are wearing one. All right, now that I got you guys super excited about all these awesome things that are to do in our community, I'm going to get you even more excited about our university here. So a little bit of background on Montana State is that we are the first and largest school in the entire state of Montana. Last fall, our enrollment was 16,978 students. This was actually our all-time record enrollment. So we are super honored that we are still experiencing a lot of growth. We still have all these students that want to come and be a part of the Bobcat family. And with that, we still get all these increased opportunities coming in to keep paying forward to our students. What I personally love about this number, again, as an alumni, as a staff member, and as someone that has a sister who just started her freshman year last Wednesday here, I think the size is really reflective of Bozeman again. I think it's big enough. You get that big state school experience. Again, we're the biggest school in the state. There is a ton of energy and hype on our campus. It is a very vibrant community. So you get that big state school experience, but on the flip side, national scale, we are still considered more of a mid-sized school. So campus isn't a city. It's not incredibly overwhelming. Again, it's 15 minutes, one end to the other end. It's small enough that your professors will know who you are. It's small enough that you will see familiar faces as you walk around. You will find your niche. But on the flip side of that, it's big enough that it doesn't feel like you're in high school all over again. Of that total enrollment too, you'll see only about 2,000 of our students are graduate level. So we are super focused on our undergraduates here, which just opens the doors for you guys to opportunities at larger state schools that typically would just be saved for those graduate level students. Demographics wise, we are literally about 50-50 down the middle for in-state versus out-of-state students. We have students representing all 50 states, nearly 70 different countries, and we also are proud to say we have more Montanans enrolled here at MSU than at any other institution in the state of Montana. We have Montanans coming in from every single county in our beautiful state here. With that size, on the smaller side of things, though we have nearly 17,000 students, we still boast a student to faculty ratio of just about 17 to 1 and offer an average class size about 30. I don't know about you guys, but at my school, or high school and elementary schools, that was about the same class size that I grew up being used to. Sometimes we do see that average get slightly larger for freshman classes. The freshman average class size is close to 40 students, just because typically most freshmen are in more of those gen ed courses that a lot of students have to take. And then as you progress onwards through your major, those classes get more specialized and they continue to get smaller and smaller. Now, I graduated 4.5 years ago, so not that long. But when I was in school, I only had one large lecture style course the entire time. It was chemistry, so one of those classes kind of everybody has to take. But even though we had that larger group for that lecture style program, when we were actually doing the hands-on application and when we were in those labs, we were in very small class sizes of about only a dozen students. So we did still get that individualized focus and we were able to ask all those questions when we were physically doing that work. Another neat thing about MSU is that over 90% of your courses here will be taught directly by faculty. We love our TAs, we love our grad students, they are wonderful, but no offense to them, they are not really the people you pay to go to college to learn from. You want to learn from people that are experts in their field, that are actively participating in research, someone that can be a mentor to you in your program. And so that is what we offer you. The only time you would see someone that is not faculty leading a course would be if we go back to my chemistry example. So if you have a large lecture style course that requires you to be broken off into smaller groups, whether that is for a lab, for a recitation, maybe a discussion, that's when you may see a master's or doctoral level graduate student stepping in just to make sure that you have that all hands on deck experience. With that said, we do have an open door policy here at MSU. What that means is that every single faculty member, including our president, local celebrity, Dr. Waded Cruzado herself, is required to have consistent office hours, so your professors are always accessible to you if you have questions, if there's anything else you need to know. At Montana State, we offer individualized advising. What that means is that every student, the minute you set foot on our campus, is matched up with your own advisor specific to your field of study. So you are with that advisor for all 4 years while you are here. They are your immediate pinpoint person that has your back and has their eye on the prize of getting you to that 4-year degree. So they help you with things like figuring out what classes you need to take, building your schedule, getting you connected to any campus resources. Mine was really helpful in finding my internship when I was a junior in school. They're just essentially that person that you can always turn to if you have any questions, if you need any extra assistance. And again, it's somebody that has worked in your field or at least the higher ed side of your field, so they can become a tremendous wealth of knowledge and a tremendous reference for you as you step out into the world. Now, individualized advising is required for everyone, but you will quickly find that we are a little obsessed with advising here. We have a bunch of optional services that I recommend every student utilize. Most of these are run through the Alan Yarnell Center for Student Success, which we often abbreviate to the AYCSS because it takes a little bit of time to say. One great program they have there is the Office of Financial Education. That is a team of financial coaches. They can help you with things like understanding your FAFSA. If you're planning to take out student loans, they can help you make a repayment plan so you're not overwhelmed when you graduate. They can help you with understanding a budget. They're there to help promote financial literacy. Success advising is a really neat feature if you are feeling apprehensive about that transition from high school to college, or maybe you're not, but you just want a little bit of extra support along the way, whether that is on an academic level or more of a personal level. That is what their team is there for. It's a mentorship program. They're basically there to help you figure out how to adult. Career coaching, it's a little bit in the name, but they are also the ones that host our career fairs. We do 2 career fairs per year, so 1 per semester. We consistently have recruiters coming right here to our campus looking for our students to hire for whether postgraduate careers or just for internships. Last thing to discuss is our tutoring services, again, run through AYCSS. We have 2 different models for tutoring on our campus. Firstly, we have fully staffed tutoring centers all over. We have a math and stats center, we have a writing center, a chemistry center, a physics center. I am running out of breath, so I'm going to stop. But those are fully staffed, again, with a team of tutors, so you can pop in whenever you need help, ask a question quick, or even if you just work better being in a studious environment, you can sit there for a couple hours. If you are someone that works better with that more traditional tutoring model, so you sitting with a tutor, whether that's for an hour a week, maybe less, maybe more, we offer that as well. And that is guaranteed for any class that you take here at MSU, whether that is a 100 level freshman class or whether you're a little bit ahead and taking some very advanced classes your senior year. This program guarantees they will find you a tutor. That runs for the price of $2 per hour session. Fun fact of that is that it used to be free, and then once they put that tiny price tag that kind of any student can afford, it made those attendance rates shoot up. So that is the only reason that that is on there. But it's such a great opportunity for our students. Those drop-in centers that are open during all office hours are, again, completely free. Now on to the exciting stuff. There are a lot of great and exciting things that come with being Montana's largest university. Again, being 131 years old this year, we are very deep-rooted in tradition. There are over 300 different clubs and organizations that students can get involved with here. It sounds a little cheesy, but I really do believe that there is something for everyone. We have fraternity and sorority life. We have music ensembles. We have student government. We have club sports, intramural sports. There's different art groups, service organizations. There's even a brownie club now. The whole idea of that is they hang out once a week, make a new brownie recipe. Sounds pretty fun. I recently learned this summer that there were actually about over 500 registered members of this program. What my personal favorite club is the Montana Meats Club. So the idea of that, it is university funded. MSU writes them a check. Someone in the club heads to the local butcher, buys a couple steaks, buys a nice rack of ribs, hang out, they have a big grill out at somebody's house. I picked a bad time to graduate. Now, I know I say this a lot, but my actual favorite part of Montana State has got to be Bobcat Athletics. I was a member of the Spirit Squad when I was here, so that's why I'm so loud. But I think we have one of the coolest college football game day experiences out there, especially for being more of a mid-sized university on that national scale. If any of you guys are football fans and you are familiar with ESPN's show College Game Day, you'll see in that middle picture there that they actually agree with me because they came and broadcasted live from our rivalry game 2 years ago. It was actually the coldest broadcast in the show's entire history, and we still had fans camping out the night before to make sure that they were in the very front row. We don't have professional sports in our state, so if the colleges are playing, people are ride or die for their team. It is just such a fun community to be a part of. We have 13 different D1 NCAA sports. We also have an NIRA rodeo team with several national champions on it, I will say. I'd honestly also say that our spring rodeo we host right here on our campus is probably the second most heavily attended sporting event after football. It is an absolute blast. Now, whether you are a diehard fan like me, or whether you're someone that's going to be camping out the night before in negative 30-degree weather, or whether you're someone that's just like, you know, my friends are going, could be fun. Best part for our students is that games, any of those NCAA sanctioned sports that are regular season, they are always free for you. We believe if a student is paying tuition, you should not have to pay extra to go and support your classmates. I will say with football, our stadium only holds about 21,000 people. That absolutely does sell out. So just make sure in advance you're clicking a little button online saying, hey, I want to go to this game. I'm going to touch very briefly on living on campus because I know we got some questions about it when you all submitted that registration form. One little note is that I want you guys to stay tuned on September 11th, so in a couple weeks here, that's another Wednesday, we will actually be hosting a Living on Campus webinar where we will be having members of our university student housing staff coming in. They're the professionals. They will talk to you in depth about the process. They will talk to you about all those different options, and again, have a live Q&A so that they can be here to answer all of your questions. So a little bit about living on campus. One thing to know is that all traditional freshmen are required to live on campus. There are, of course, exemptions to that in place. If you live within a commutable distance of campus, or if you have an immediate family member that does, that is a-okay. If you have a medical condition, if you are married, if you have dependent children, if you are a veteran, if you're a non-traditional age, we're not going to make you be 52 and live in the dorms. But overall, those traditional freshmen do live on. We offer 12 different residence halls here on campus. And one thing to keep track of is that our housing application is going to open up on October 1st. We do have a priority deadline of March 1st, but please know that housing is guaranteed for our first year students here. When a student applies for housing, there is a $300 deposit that is due with that. That deposit is of course reduced from your first year and board bill, but that is how we filter out who is actually serious about their applications. Otherwise, we'd get 1,000 applications from people that might not actually come here, and it would be a little bit of a logistical nightmare. So with that said, housing, again, it is guaranteed for students. So if you are still looking at several different schools, it is absolutely a-okay to wait on that. Moving on to dining, I know that food is not the #1 thing to consider when you are looking at a university, but ours is pretty good here, and having good things to eat sure does not hurt. We have 2 great dining halls here on campus. The crown jewel of campus is Rendezvous Dining Pavilion. This one opened up brand new in 2018. This is the one pictured in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. It's a little hard to see. There's a beautiful balcony there. It's a great spot to have a cup of coffee in the morning. You get a great view of that Bridger Mountain Range with the white M on it. The first year Rendezvous was open, we actually won an award saying that we were had the #1 dining hall food, we won a grand prize at a national competition for having the best dining hall food for a university of our size. So like I said, when I say the food is good, we got some stuff to show for it. Miller is our old dining hall. By old dining hall, I mean that it was renovated in 2015. That is the one on the bottom of the screen, pictured kind of towards the middle there. And that one is great. All of our meal plans are all you can eat, unlimited access. You choose between either a 5-day plan or a 7-day plan. So the 7-day would include the weekends. And again, that is all you can eat, unlimited access. So you pick and choose how many times you go. You are not on a punch card system. If you go in before your first class to grab a cup of coffee, it doesn't mean you can't come back and have breakfast later. You can come and go from there as many times as you please. Another great feature, our dining halls have recently partnered up with Grubhub. So if you ever don't really feel like eating there one day, maybe you're in a hurry to get to class, you can actually order to-go meals right through the app on your phone. You can use your meal plan to pay for that as well. It's a really great feature. And one of my favorite facts about our dining hall is that over 25% of the food that they serve every single day there is actually all locally sourced. Most of it is coming directly from our College of Agriculture, if not from partnerships with local farmers in our community. So it's literally farm to classroom to table. And again, keep your eyes out for that upcoming webinar. I think that would be really great for some of you guys to join. I wasn't paying attention, but if any of my counselors could post the virtual housing tour, I think that would be helpful for some people as well in the chat box. All right, segueing onwards out of campus life, let's get a little bit more into the nitty-gritty here. I don't know about you guys, but when I was in high school, I loved it. I had a great time, but I also felt a little bit like it was a lot of busy work. I felt like I was reading a lot of textbooks, and I did definitely have those days where I was sitting there feeling like, how am I going to use this in the real world? One thing that really drew me to Montana State is that our learning model is completely different from that. We are an R1 research institution. If you are not familiar with what that means it is the highest research designation that a university or institution can receive from the Carnegie Foundation. What that actually means is that we really value hands-on learning experiences, learning by doing, and then providing our students opportunities to work in their field prior to graduation so that they are actually prepared when they graduate, instead of just feeling like they spent 4 years reading about what they hope to do someday. So with that said, our school is actually the largest research entity in the entire state of Montana. Last year, we spent over $230 million on research alone. The year before that, it was 220. The year before that, it was 210. That's just another great example of all those opportunities that keep growing. And we are so obsessed with research here at our school that it is not just something that we encourage students to get on board with. It is actually a graduation requirement. So just like how any school would have like a math core class or a writing core class, we literally have a research core. Now, of course, that looks really different across the board depending on what a student is studying. If a student is into the arts, that is going to look like more time spent in the studio, more time working on creative projects, and then creating their portfolio so that is ready to go when they graduate. A marketing student would probably partner with a local business here in town, help them do their marketing research, and then from that, design and implement a marketing plan. A couple of years back, we had a large group of accounting students get together. They traveled to rural communities in Alaska and provided tax assistance. One of my all-time favorite examples is a group of architecture students that came together, they partnered with a local nonprofit here in town, and then they designed and constructed tiny homes to help people in our community who've been displaced from housing. So this program is great because then you spend your time here, you have that creative influence to pick something that you are passionate about, grow that project into fruition, and then when you graduate, you actually have something tangible to show for your time here. It looks great on your resume. Your faculty advisor that works with you on that research can become another phenomenal reference for you. And from that personal standpoint, as someone that went through this process myself and has now been on the adult side of the world for a bit, it feels really nice to have that extra boost of confidence as you step out into the world and when you go into those job interviews right out of college. Now, getting into all these opportunities we have here, we offer over 250 different academic programs. That means majors, minors, certificate programs. They are housed in 8 different academic colleges. Bear with me, this slide is a little long, but I want to give you guys just a little broad overview of each thing. So first, we have the College of Agriculture. This is our oldest college on campus. When we were founded 131 years ago, we were the agricultural college of the state of Montana. So it is right there in our name. It is the core of where we come from. It is the root of our school. It is by no means all that we do anymore, but these programs have really stood the testament to the test of time. And in the College of Ag, you will find those traditional ag majors, so things like plant science and animal science and range management. But funny enough, it is also where you'll find more of our pre-med majors, so things like microbiome, things like cell bio and neuroscience. Best way to think about it is it's like the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences. The College of Arts and Architecture also houses our School of Music as well as our School of Film and Photography. Our School of Architecture was actually the first school in the nation to offer a 5.5-year architecture master's program. So that means in 5.5 years, you would get both your undergrad degree in environmental design and an immediate and accelerated path to pursue that master's degree, which at least in our state is required if you would like to pursue licensure. The School of Music has nearly 20 different music ensembles. You do not have to be a music major to participate in those. You also do not have to be a music major to get a music scholarship here. So if that picture of those people serenading our president with their saxophone and clarinet looks really fun to you guys, you can get a little bit of money just to keep doing that. The Jake Jobs College of Business and Entrepreneurship is ranked in the top 5% of business colleges worldwide. We're the only accredited program in the state of Montana. We have our one primary business major, and then within there are 4 different subcategories. So we have marketing, management, finance, and accounting. Normus Bjornson College of Engineering is definitely what we are most well known for in this day and age. I think especially that research-based kind of education model is very attractive to those more engineer-minded students. We have 14 different engineering majors. Computer sciences are housed within that college as well. We have some great new growth in their program. They have a brand new home, Normus Bjornson Hall, as of just a couple years ago. It's a $75 million project, brand new classroom space, brand new beautiful labs in there. And if any of you are interested in computer sciences, we just broke ground in April on what is going to be our brand new School of Computing facility. College of Education, Health, and Human Development, my alma mater, so I think it's the best one. I might be a little biased. Education, we offer early childhood education, elementary ed, and secondary ed. The HHD half of that is going to encompass anything working with people. So that's where you're going to find things like community health, kinesiology, nutrition, human development, family sciences, hospitality management. Letters and Science is our largest college because it houses such a wide family of majors. This is where you are going to find pretty much anything that you could take a class on in high school that you would like to major in college. So things like maths, humanities, social sciences, and natural sciences. Mark and Robin Jones College of Nursing. Now, personally, this is what I believe Montana State should be most well known for. I gotta brag about us again, but back in 2021, we received the largest donation in American history to a College of Nursing. It was $101 million from Mark and Robin Jones. So with that generous gift, we have seen a lot of great, amazing additions to this program. To the state, we have now broken ground on a brand new facility at every single one of our 5 nursing campuses around the state of Montana. So we are gonna have brand new simulation labs, more classroom space for our students. We're adding more spots to accommodate more nursing students and get more nurses out into the healthcare professions. We have added more scholarships to better accommodate this higher number of nursing students. And the university is adding a faculty endowed professorship to each of the 5 campuses so that we can still, even though the program is growing, keep that student to faculty ratio that we are so proud of nice and low so our students still get that more one-on-one focus that they really deserve. Last one on my list is the Honors College. The Honors College at our school is actually a fully accredited college. It is like the smaller liberal arts school that is housed within the larger state university. So whereas we have nearly 17,000 students at MSU, there's only about 1,700 that are in honors. And honors is not necessarily just for those students that had a 4.7 high school GPA or were child Einstein or who started a startup when they were 6. It's for people that like learning. They want meaningful discussion. They want to pull from different fields of study. They want to really be in a community of students that shares those values and kind of fosters that type of environment. So there's a lot of great different honors courses. Some honors courses are set up similarly to a high school honors course. For example, maybe you have traditional English and then honors English. And in that honors course, maybe it's moves at a quicker pace, maybe it's worth extra credits. So here our honors gen ed courses would be a whole year's worth of content condensed into one semester and double the amount of credits. Another nice perk with those is that every honors class is capped at an absolute maximum of 40 students and has an average class size of only about 16. You do not have to take honors gen eds, I will say. I was in honors. Chemistry and I were not really friends in high school, so I got a little intimidated in college and I chose to take the traditional chemistry path instead. But had I chosen to take that honors program, it would have been absolutely no more than 40 students in that class, which, knowing what I know now as staff, I wish I just tried it out. Anyways, I loved the access to seminars it had. I took some interesting philosophy ones. I did one on human nature, one on theory of death and dying. I got a mentor gifted students in the local schools around here. Hike and Read and Ski and Read is a neat program they offer. It is book club but make it nature. So you spend break reading a book, come together with your new class of honor students. They take you on a ski trip or a hiking, camping trip, depending on the season. They've also been known to bring the authors of the books on these trips in the past. Spend a bit of time talking about those themes, how it will impact your time in the college, but it's more so about community building. Now, if any of this sounds remotely interesting to you guys, I highly recommend applying. It is a separate application from your MSU application. Once you have applied to MSU, you can go ahead and apply. Typically, they do look for around a 3.5, but if you do not meet that requirement, they do still ask that you apply, get on their radar. Worst they will say if your other application materials aren't quite there yet is, hey, maybe we'll keep an eye on you and see how you do your first semester here at Montana State. On that application, they will look for your transcript. They will look for a response to an essay prompt, which are available on the Honors College website at montana.edu. And then they will also ask for a short prompt. So that's just a little blurb, who I am, why I want to be in the program, and then one letter of recommendation from a current or former teacher. If any of my counselors wouldn't mind posting maybe a link to the Honors College application in the chat box in case anybody is interested in looking at that. That would be great. Now, if you guys are anything like me, when I was in college, if I saw a list like the previous one, or when I was in high school, I should say, maybe even my freshman year of college though, I saw a list like that and I got complete option paralysis. I thought, oh my gosh, that is so many options. How the heck does anyone ever decide? You know, it's a little overwhelming. First off, take a deep breath and know that it is actually way more rare to know exactly what you want to do when you are 16, 17 and stick with that for the rest of your life. That is you. Awesome. Power to you. But most people change their minds, so don't feel bad if you don't have it all figured out yet. When I was looking at schools, this University Studies program is one thing that really drew me into Montana State. University Studies is our Undecided program, but this is not your grandma's Undecided program. This is an additional advising track designed to help you explore who you are. What are your strengths, your weaknesses, your interests? What do you value? What do you want your lifestyle to look like after you graduate? And just like how any student at our school gets their own personalized advisor, so does a University Studies or Undecided student, except instead of your advisor being hyper-fixated on just education or just engineering, they are super broad field. They are a general career counselor, life coach, and honestly a built-in friend that will talk to you about all of these different elements to consider, and they will work with you on that individual basis to create a custom schedule that helps you explore all of your different interests. But because they are great at their jobs, they do it in a way that fulfills your elective credits and your core curriculum. So by working with this team of professionals, you actually have a whole year and a half, so halfway through your sophomore year here at Montana State, to declare your major, and you will still be on track for a 4-year graduation timeline. All right, on to the exciting stuff. Let's talk about our admissions process. If anyone has already applied, I'm sure they could tell you that our admission process is pretty quick and painless. It'll probably be one of the quicker ones that you fill out here. Most students say it takes them maybe around 15-20 minutes. We are on a rolling admissions schedule. So what that means is there is no official deadline that you have to apply by. There is not an official date that we send out everyone's decision letter. We want you to apply to Montana State when it is right for you and when it is right for your family. With that said, from the date you apply, usually it takes about a 2-week turnaround time to receive that official decision. Just in my role, if you are ready to apply, I would generally recommend that students apply prior to October, just because that will give you enough time to submit your application, receive that decision back, and then if you are someone that's considering applying for any of our larger scholarships, which I will tell you about shortly, or if you want to be one of the first to apply for housing, or if you want more time to fill out your FAFSA, it can just open up a little bit more flexibility for you. So for that application, we do not require letters of recommendation. We do not require essay questions. There's no interviews, and we are completely ACT, SAT optional. The only thing that we really use those ACT or SAT scores for now is for your math and writing level placement. So if you have those scores, absolutely send them to us. We can get you placed in those appropriate leveled classes. If you do not have ACT or SAT scores and you do not plan to take them, that is fine. We have our own versions of placement tests that you can take here at Montana State, or if you're bringing in college level credit, we can use that as well. So what do we look at for admission? To be admitted, we look for, does a student have a 2.5 high school GPA, or do they rank in the top half of their graduating class? If a student does not meet these admissions requirements, we can also look at an ACT or SAT score to admit them. What I love most about this slide, though, is that though 2.5 is what is required for admission and gives students the opportunity to pursue higher education, our average incoming freshman GPA last fall was still a 3.63. So I think that kind of speaks greatly to the testament of the students we have coming in here. Another nice perk is the stronger your performance in high school, the more money you get to go to college. So first off, I'm going to talk about one of our Montana scholarships. So my out-of-state friends, this is a great time to go refill your water, take a break, do some stretches, plug your ears for a minute and a half. The Montana scholarship, that is our merit scholarship, is called the Montana Premier Scholarship. I will say all of the dollar values I'm going to tell you guys as I talk about scholarships are reflective of the fall 2024 semester. The official scholarship rates for the fall 2025 school year will be set in October. So these are a little subject to change, but should be very similar ballpark. Anyways, the Montana Premier Scholarship is for Montana students that had at least a 2.7 high school GPA. There is no separate application. It is just purely based off of that GPA when you apply for admission. Currently, this ranges from $1,000 to $4,000. That is the current actual award bracket that is reflected right there. And whatever award value that you get, you will keep that award. It will keep renewing for 4 years while you are here, as long as you are a full-time student and as long as you are keeping a 2.5 GPA once you are here at Montana State. All right, in-state friends, now you can plug your ears. Out-of-state friends, get your attention back over here. This is your turn. So our out-of-state version of this is the Achievement Award. So this is the same idea. Any non-resident student that has at least a 2.7, you automatically get this award. You do not have to apply for it again. This one currently ranges from $6,000 to $15,000. That is, again, the bracket that is reflected right there, and that award will renew each year for 4 years as long as you're a full-time student and keep a 2.5 GPA while you are here. I will say with either of these, whether you're a Montana student or whether you're an out-of-state student, that is weighted or unweighted GPA. One little tip for you guys, if you go to a high school that does not weight GPAs, let's say you've taken a bunch of AP classes, maybe you have a 3.98 GPA, usually if you talk to your high school, usually they will actually do the weighting of that GPA for you. If you tell them it's for scholarship consideration, they will not do that for you. If they're being a little stubborn, reach out to our office, the Office of Admissions. Our evaluator team would be happy to do that for you. We do not want you to feel disadvantaged just because you are on a different grading scale. So keep that one in mind there. So anyways, that Achievement Award is for any out-of-state student with at least a 2.7. Another one here that's great is called the WUI. WUI is the Western Undergraduate Exchange Scholarship. Students that reside in the Dakotas or West, so if you see your state highlighted in blue down here, besides Montana, of course, you are eligible to apply for this award so long as you have a 3.0 high school GPA. So students that receive the WUI have their out-of-state tuition reduced to 1.5 times Montana's in-state tuition. Last year, that equaled about $19,000 off of out-of-state tuition. So with that said, though a 3.0 is what is required to apply for it, GPA is not the only thing that we look at. It is a very holistic scholarship. It's a series of essay questions asking you about who you are, what do you do. We really want to get to know you. So previous questions have asked you things like, what are you involved with in high school? Are you in any leadership roles? Maybe you have some volunteer work. If you're not super active at your high school, maybe you've been working throughout the whole time. That's okay. Or maybe you have a lot of responsibilities around the home. Maybe you have a single parent and you've been helping take care of your younger siblings. Maybe you have a family business or family farm you've been helping run. We, again, want to get to know who you are. And I will say, my biggest tip is to give yourself plenty of time to work on these applications, give long, well thought out responses, read through them a couple times, look for any very glaring grammatical or spelling errors. Because again, it's a holistic look. So, if the question asks you something like, what are your goals at Montana State? And all you write is graduate, even if you have an above 4.0 GPA, if that's how you're answering all of your questions on there, there's a good chance you're not going to get that award. And someone with a 3.0 that is really giving us those well thought out responses that seems like someone worth the investment, they might get it over that. So this one will open up in the fall, coming up soon. The deadline for this will always be the first week of January. The last couple of years that has been January 3rd. That should be announced shortly here. To give you guys a frame of reference, typically we receive around 3,000 applications for this. Last year we awarded 1,200. The year prior to that we were awarded around 800. So it's not a set in stone number. Give yourself some time to work on it, and absolutely good luck with that. One note is that the WUI cannot be stacked with the Achievement Award. So any student that already has a 2.7, you'd automatically get the Achievement Award. While you are waiting to hear back on your WUI, that's a nice little placeholder for you. And if you are selected for the WUI Award, that will automatically replace your Achievement Award because we assume you want the award of higher value. All right, my friends that were from the eastern half of the US and Montana, you guys can pay attention again. This is the Presidential Scholarship because anyone can apply for this one, and it is the best award anyways. The Presidential Scholarship is run through our Honors College. So if you apply to be a Presidential Scholar, your application for this award will actually double as your application into the Honors College. So it's a nice little double whammy there, saves you a little bit of time. Also, of course, if you are selected as a Presidential Scholar, you will be expected to be in the honors program since this is their award. Again, this is the highest valued award. This is a full tuition waiver plus a housing stipend. If you're not familiar with the difference between that, a tuition waiver is not direct money going in your pocket. So for example, the Achievement Award on the last slide, that is a tuition waiver. If you get that $15,000 Achievement Award, unfortunately, we are not handing you a pile of $15,000 cash, though that would be really nice. What we are doing is we are looking at your tuition bill and we are reducing it by $15,000. So if you have a full tuition waiver, you just don't have a tuition bill anymore. That stipend, that is that cash money. So that's really great. Usually it's about $4,000. You can put that towards room and board. You can put that toward housing when you're living off campus later on if that is something you choose. And this award is still pretty competitive. You do have to have at least a 3.7 to apply for this one. It's a very thorough application. Imagine everything I just told you for the WUI and then some. There's about 3 letters of recommendation. There's a series of essay questions again that are posted on their website. You can also find this award now. The application is open. It will be due the first Friday of December. So for fall 2025 start students, that's going to be December 6th at 5 p.m. coming up here. This one, to give you a frame of reference, typically they receive 1,000 to 2,000 applications. 50 to 60 students are selected for a final round of interviews, and then 22 to 24 students are actually selected for this award within that year. Again, this one cannot be stacked with any of those other scholarships. So this cannot be stacked with the WUI, it cannot be stacked with the Achievement Award, and it cannot be stacked with that Premier Scholarship. If you get the presidential, it would replace any of those because we can't waive tuition that you just don't have anymore if you don't have a tuition bill. Anything on this next slide can be stacked though. So CAT Scholarships is our general scholarship application platform. I love this. It is our one-stop shop for all awards that are MSU affiliated. This is where you're going to find anything specific to your college, specific to your department, any random little niche ones for some random person from this town that's studying this really specific major. There's some interesting ones on there. I highly recommend looking through. What I also love about this is the way it's formatted is you fill out one single application and hitting submit on that submits you to dozens, if not more, in the system that you may qualify for. And then it will also list, based off of those responses, additional larger scholarship opportunities that you may consider applying for that might just ask you a couple more questions. So this one will open up on November 1st of your senior year. And then there is a priority deadline of February 1st. Now, what does a priority deadline mean? I will tell you every single donor that posts a scholarship to CAT Scholarships processes their awards independently. So what that means is February 1st is the first date that anyone that posts an award to CAT Scholarships is allowed to close that award. So for optimum consideration, I recommend submitting it prior to February 1st. But if you forget about it, it's March 15th, you wake up and are like, oh my gosh, I forgot. Go ahead and submit it still. I was looking at it about a week or two ago, and there were still awards posted for this fall, so the students that started last Wednesday on there. After that, we accept any and all outside scholarships. That is anything from third parties, look at local businesses, any groups that you or your family have been involved with, whether that's church, Rotary clubs, sports teams, anything that you may have been involved with in high school. Our students have expressed a lot of luck with fastweb.com and scholarships.com. Those are large databases where you input your information and it'll filter out things that you may qualify for or qualify to apply for based off of your responses. Lastly on here is the FAFSA. We are a completely FAFSA optional school. Submitting the FAFSA is not required for merit-based aid, so it is not required for things like the WUI, the Presidential, the Achievement Award, or the Premier Scholarship, or any just specific merit-based awards that you would get through CAT scholarships. It is, however, required for any aid that is more on a needs basis, so anything that's needs-based on CAT scholarships, any of those low-interest government loans, any government grants, or of course the work-study program. Typically, we recommend that every student does submit the FAFSA. You'll never know what you get until you try. If you get something you don't want, maybe it's a loan you didn't want to take out, just because you submit it does not mean that you're tied to that. You don't always have to take out everything that they offer you. I will say FAFSA last year was very delayed. Typically, a FAFSA will open up on October 1st. We've been informed they are estimating it might be delayed again. Last I heard was December 1st for students entering in fall of 2025. Just know that at Montana State, though we apologize if it is delayed again, and I know that can cause a little bit of a strain, not being able to see that whole picture. Here at Montana State, we are a non-committal school. So what that means is that you don't owe us anything. You are not in a contract, basically until you're in a seat and paying tuition. Even if you take those steps like filling out your housing application, if you apply for orientation, anything like that, it is non-binding. You can change your mind. And if you want to wait to make that investment in that housing deposit that I told you guys about, again, housing is guaranteed for students. So you can always wait until you can see that whole picture there. Again, we want you to decide to join the Bobcat family when it's right for you, when it's right for those that you love. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, guys. I am going to turn it over to Anna, one of our other counselors, and we're going to try to answer some of those questions that you guys had thrown in the chat there.
Okay, we don't have a ton of time, but I want to make sure that we get through all of the questions that were most frequently asked, whether that's across the chat feature or in the registration form for the webinar. So the number one question that we got in the registration form was, does MSU accept any college credit from other institutions?
Yes, that is a great question. I would love if one of my counselors in the lab right now, if you could pull up our transfer equivalency guide and pop a link to that in the chat again. So our policy here at Montana State is that we will accept any and all college credits that are from accredited institutions. So with that said, this link that I'm having my team share right now, that is a link that will take you to the transfer equivalency guide. This is a historical record of all the credits that we have transferred from like every school over the past 20, maybe 30 years. So it's a really helpful tool. You can search through, look for your course on here. It's not a definitive guide, I will say. If you look on this and you see that your school or your course isn't on there, it does not by any means mean that we are not going to take it. It just means that we have not evaluated that class from that school yet. So if that's the case, we do an evaluation. It's pretty easy. We are just looking for in that whether we have a direct transfer here at MSU. So that means, do we have something that's basically the same exact class? The only reason that something would not count as a direct transfer would be if it's a class we just don't offer. So for example, I had a girl who was from SoCal and she was taking marine biology. And we said, that's so cool, that's awesome. But we're in the Rocky Mountains, we don't really do that here. Or maybe you took a class that's technically the same title, but maybe it was worth a different amount of credits. So maybe you took Calc 1 for 2 credits, but ours here is 4. So that would technically mean, even though they have the same name, the different quantity of content in that. So it's technically a different course. If that is the case, as long as you earn those credits, you would absolutely still get them. We would just make them elective credits here because we can't say they're a course here that doesn't exist, but if you earned them, you earned them. And elective credits are still advantageous to each student. Every single major is going to require you to have those anyways.
Perfect, thank you. And just to clarify, because I know that this question was just asked in the Q&A feature, regardless of how many college credits you take throughout high school, you will still be considered an incoming freshman student, a first-year student at MSU. As long as you completed those college credits before high school graduation, you're good to go. You're still going to be a freshman incoming student, and you're going to want to be a freshman incoming student when it comes to our scholarship opportunities for first-year students. Another question I have for you, Anna. Does MSU have an application deadline, and is there a deadline to accept your admission to the university?
Yeah, great question. So a little bit of what we just touched on, but yeah, we are on rolling admissions. So if you're not familiar, what that means is that there is no official deadline you have to apply by. There's not an official date that we send out every single person's decision letters. Again, we really want to give you and your family flexibility throughout this time because college search should not be stressful. It's a happy time. I will say with that said, typically our office recommends that students that are interested apply by around October because from that date you apply, it's about 2 weeks to hear back on your decision. So if you are wanting to apply for anything like the presidential or apply for that WUI Western Undergraduate Exchange Scholarship, you want to make sure that you have your decision back before those big deadlines come up. But if you graduate, plans change, and then you decide to apply to Montana State June before your freshman year of college starts, like right after graduating high school, we will still absolutely look at that application.
Perfect. Another question for you. This one was a really good one, and I know you have personal experience in this. If a student really wants to keep playing their sport while they're in college at the Division I level, just like at MSU, how can they go about getting recruited and possibly getting a scholarship later on?
That is a great question. I'm glad you brought that one up. So with that said, first and foremost, at Montana State University, we do have a conflict of interest policy. So that means that our Office of Admissions is not allowed to communicate on behalf of students allowed to communicate with the athletics department, on behalf of students. So if you are interested in beginning the recruitment process, if you go to our athletics website, which is msubobcats.com, if someone could plug that in the chat again for everyone to refer to, on there you'll find a list of all the different athletics programs we have here in the D1 program. You can go to the sport you want, and each of them will actually have a recruiting form on there. So that is how you officially get your name in the recruiting system and how you start to get that ball rolling. After that, of course, every sport is a little bit different. I always recommend reaching out to the coaching staff directly, maybe reaching out to some of the assistants as well. Usually the head coaches are pretty busy, so don't even worry about it. There's no such thing as overexposure when you're trying to get recruited. As someone that went through this myself, DM them on Instagram if you need to. One thing to keep in mind is that if you are looking at an NCAA sport, so pretty much anything besides rodeo here, or unless you're looking at a club sport, they do have specific blackout dates throughout the year, meaning there are specific dates when no one on coaching staffs or like the faculty associated with that program are allowed to communicate with students. So if you ever feel like it's been a while since you heard back, you can always look those up online. And then
Awesome.
scholarships, just on the note, sorry, since you mentioned that one, I will say
Yeah.
every single team does process those differently. You know, there's different budgets for different teams depending on the fundraising that they have done. It's up to each team independently how they pass those out. Some it's reserved for upperclassmen, some it's more of a recruiting tactic. Some it's more, you know, people that have had leadership roles. I've seen a lot of different things within a lot of different teams there.
Awesome. And if I were in my senior year of high school and I applied for the WUI and I did not receive it my freshman year, would I be able to apply for it again the next year and have a second shot at it?
So unfortunately, no, the WUI scholarship students are only able to apply for going into your freshman year. So if you receive that WUI your freshman year, that will again stick with you for all 4 years while you are here. If you are not selected for it, unfortunately, you would not be eligible to apply for that one again, assuming that you are still continuing on and being in school. I guess with that though, that's where that achievement award comes in. That's really nice because again, that is a nice little placeholder for you there. If you don't get the WUI, it's not like you're getting nothing. Those are still some pretty high values if you're in that higher GPA range on the achievement award.
Awesome. And then my last question for you, just today, just because we are right at the top of the hour, so I want to be respectful of people's time. What resources are available on campus for students with learning differences, any disabilities or special needs, anything like that?
Yes, we have an awesome resource called the Office of Disability Services. I'd love again if someone could plug a link into the chat. So they are really great. They work with each and every student on that individual basis. Typically speaking, if a student has accommodations in place from high school, usually it's really easy to just roll those over to here. But again, that is on an individual basis. So if what you had in high school isn't working for you now, we can make accommodations and keep adapting with that. I would recommend reaching out to their team directly if you have any questions. They're a great resource, and you can always pop in if you decide to come on a campus visit.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Anna. I so appreciate you answering all of our questions and everything. For everybody else, thank you so much for joining us. We so appreciate it. This is our first webinar of the fall 2024 semester, so we're very excited to have everybody here. Anna just threw up our contact information on the presentation, so if you have any additional questions, anything like that, you can always reach out to us at any time. We are 100% here to help all the way through your application process. So if you need anything, please feel free to let us know. Other than that, we're going to let you go for tonight. Recording of this webinar will be emailed to you tomorrow, and then it will also be posted on our YouTube and our Webinar Wednesdays page. So again, thank you so much for joining us. And as always, go Cats.
Thank you, guys.